everybody, and welcome to Amphlett Reviews, back with another Hong Kong content review, continuing on with the Bloodshed movies sort of theme going on at the moment. And today we'll be talking about City War. This is the Hong Kong import version. This is a Region A locked version, so if you do have a multi-region player, you will be able to watch this. It's a very nice transfer. It's got the English subtitles. Very standard release. Nice to have some of these editions. Actually, pretty reasonably cheap as well. Pretty reasonable price. And you get a nice slipcase, and you get surprisingly some postcards, which is really cool. So yeah, nice edition. From Fortune Star there. Really like the Blu-ray edition. Yong-Fat and T-Long return back from the Better Tomorrow reunion. Surely this film delivers, right? Let's find out.
我唔想拖累你，你亦無謂你啊，大佬。我係中意揦屎上身嘅，幾大鑊嘅嘢我同你玩。 City War
was released in 1998, directed by Suen Chung, who has done one of my favourite Shaw Brothers films from last year that was released, Human Lanterns. This film, it's awesome. If I haven't praised this film enough, please go and watch it. Wow, this film's incredible. I absolutely love Human Lanterns, and it's nice to see a big director, Shaw Brothers, kind of known for Shaw Brothers movies, a lot of kind of martial art based kind of content, leading into more kind of bloodshed going genre, more the modern kind of 80s kind of genre. And from his filmography alone, he's done so many movies that I have yet to see. I need to see more of, and it's nice to see a director that has got a fantastic resume of movies doing something along the lines of this. The storyline for City War features our two main cop characters, Yong-Fat and T-Long, who are basically best friends, who have been in the academy, who have been doing this job for a long time. Basically, the situation is about to change when a gangster character is released from prison 10 years later from T-Long's arrest many years ago. This leads to some very heavy conflicts and some tension building, with the gangster character wanting to go in all-out war against police officers, and specifically the arresting officer, and control over his girlfriend, love interest, who is basically falling for a cop herself in the middle of this kind of intertwinable kind of melodrama kind of story. The film itself, plot-wise, is very straightforward. You've got a bad guy who's angry. That's about it. He wants to kill some cops, specifically the guy who arrested him. And there's some really weird kind of sub-stories that kind of go on that don't really lead anywhere. There's a kind of a initial murder between a police officer during the start of the film that really doesn't really get resolved, or it's kind of really thrown under the buzz a little bit, if I'm being absolutely honest. There's a weird sort of slide part as well about a dirty cop who is working for the gangster characters that again doesn't go anywhere. That's just kind of left to the side. They kind of introduce it so late into the film, and yeah, that's another plotline kind of left unresolved. The film is, as mentioned, very standard, very kind of typical kind of bloodshed kind of Hong Kong movie. It's kind of tonally all over the place a little bit. It doesn't really know where it wants to be. For the good portion of the film, it's a bit of a bromance for the film, and that's fine. I think it's actually pretty fun when it's actually having a bit more fun with itself, when it's allowing these characters to kind of improv. Two actors from the Better Tomorrow series reunion yet again in this film. Both have fantastic chemistry in this film, which is definitely a positive for sure. I really loved them within Better Tomorrow, and I thought they were absolutely stellar. And obviously John Woo, absolutely classic. Their goodwill, I think, and their good chemistry from the Better Tomorrow movies, and I think just because they're really good actors, really helped this film out a little bit. Definitely more so than I think the film actually deserves, because the plotting and the kind of the structure of the film is really just nothing special. Even when it tries to be something quite risky and quite, I can't believe they just did that, it comes so late into the film, and even then it's not executed the way that it probably should be and the impact it should have. The action, I think, is very sluggish. It's not really well framed that well. It's kind of awkward. When I'm seeing Yong-Fat reload weapons, it's not badass. It's just a bit of cringe. It's a bit awkward. It doesn't quite feel right. The flow of those scenes don't hit as hard, even though the violence is there, even though the kind of the brutality and the kind of the nature is there for sure within specific moments within the film, mainly towards the third act, with that fantastic kind of buzz sequence. It kind of comes so late into it, and it's not handled to the way that I expect it really should be. I'm not expecting John Woo level of excellence here. I'm just expecting just some creative fun play out within kind of the camera work, or just some different types of action that I do usually see. Even this small scale action that hits harder, I'm going to remember that stuff. All the action within City War does not really pay off, if I'm being absolutely honest. It's very kind of I've seen it better within other movies, and that's again, it's a kind of a common theme I'm seeing recently within a lot of these kind of smaller kind of Hong Kong bloodshed movies for sure. Yong-Fat, as I mentioned before, within previous reviews, whether he's in a bad movie, good movie, a fantastic film, he is never bad necessarily. He is always fun, he's always a delight, he can do no wrong in my eyes. And this film, at the very least, he gets a lot to do with, gets a lot to play with. He does the typical kind of, you know, bloodshed, kind of vengeance kind of stuff towards the kind of late third act. But for the first hour, he's having a lot of fun. He's a bit of a Joker character. He's definitely having a lot of really fun scenes, good chemistry between him and Tom Lung's character. You know, he has a really weird kind of sequence involving this kind of, you know, tryout kind of a girlfriend where he has this kind of very sexualized, erotic kind of nightclub dance, and it's weird. It doesn't quite work. It's not really well handled, if I'm being absolutely honest. It's very kind of oddly kind of placed. It's just there, but he's having a lot of fun. He's giving it his all. He's giving his full charm, full suave, and he's just a very fun presence to watch on screen. And, you know, at least they give him a lot to do. They give him a range of kind of tools to work with, whether from comedy to serious kind of moments to really dark revenge kind of bloodshed kind of themes towards the kind of the third act. He's having a blast for sure, and the performances in the film, it's pretty solid. You know, I enjoyed all the characters. I enjoyed the performances. I think the villain character is a little bit underdeveloped in my personal opinion. There's hints of something there that could work really strong and something really personal, and they definitely wanted to build up to this kind of shocking kind of last 20-minute 30 finale where all hell breaks loose, but it doesn't quite land it for me. It's called City War. I don't think it lives up to that name personally. I think there should have been a more appropriate title for this film. I think the overall kind of payoffs and the overall kind of conclusion of the film is very kind of like laughable overall, in the sense, you know, when it comes to the overall conclusion and where these characters are going to end up, thanks to that kind of Hong Kong kind of procedural kind of end credits where it tells you what happens to the characters, you know what I mean. It's kind of laughable. It's kind of like, well, that was a waste. City War is essentially a Diet Coke of the bloodshed movies. It's kind of very light. It's gets you where you need to go. It's not really going to make much of an impact on your taste buds. It's not really going to do much for your overall. You don't really want to drink it, but you're kind of still drinking it. You know, and by the end of it, you're going to forget it. You're going to, you know, scrunch the can up, you're going to throw it in the bin, and you're going to move on. And that's what, unfortunately, City War is. It's not a bad film necessarily. It's just nothing really that particularly that special. That's been my review for City War, guys. What are your thoughts and opinions? Please comment down below. I'd love to know your recommendations for any more bloodshed movies, kind of low-key kind of bloodshed movies. Any ones that you recommend, please comment down below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions on the film itself. Is this something that you think is definitely much unappreciated? Is it definitely better than I'm saying it currently is? Is it definitely one of your favourite films? Love to know one of your thoughts and opinions, guys. Please comment down below. So in the meantime, guys, Amphlett Reviews, signing out.